lot of people, when they buy the car, and when you click car, you don't see the suspension, which means that somebody is so savvy, they already turned this one off because something is wrong with the air suspension. So they killed it. All right. So in order for you to get back to this car air suspension, you need to do is you got to use the OBD2 to turn the green menu on. In order to get the green menu, you hit setup and car together and hold it. Now you come into the green menu, or they call the hidden menu. Okay? So what you're gonna go to is you go to diag setting, and you go to the first one, APK 010B0C. Now you can go all the way down and you click right here. You see the air suspension is checked. Somebody unclick that. Then when you hit the car, you won't see. So now click it back on because I want mine. Okay? So don't touch anything else if you don't know. This one killed a lot of MMI. So be careful with this. All right? Only check for the air suspension if you don't have it. And then some people, they don't have the tire pressure working. They can uncheck this one also. Don't buy any car. If you click the car button and you don't see the air suspension, don't even buy it, because it may cost more than what you pay for the car to fix. Now, I'm gonna have an overview of what the air suspension is like. Well, only as my understanding. I'm sure a lot of savvy people out there may disagree. This is the air suspension system. Mine had a sport version. Some may not have. And let me explain something basic on this. You need the MMI to control it. So the MMI must work to make the car high. So we change it to lift, and then we click it and wait. So when we click with this button after we select it. And it will raise the car up. If you can see, it's raising it up right now until the white arrow is gone. Now, if you click setup, you will have the vehicle jack mode off. So if the vehicle jack mode is off, the self-leveling system will be on and the pump will work to make sure they're all even. When we want to check to see if an airbag, it's called air suspension bag, whatever, air spring bag or whatever you want to call it, on any of the side is low, that's leaking, that cause the car to go down, normally the front, completely. Then we raise it up to lift, okay? Then we hit the setup, and then we turn the vehicle jack mode to on. Now, when the vehicle jack mode is on, the pump will stop working and the self-leveling system is off. So the pump will not be on, the air will not be released, and it just stay put. So whatever the side that has the airbag leaking will go lower. So at least we'll have an idea on what it is. But that is not the only thing. we need to make sure that we see the leaks on any of the side that is lower with the soap water to confirm before we replace, well, we don't replace the strut, we replace the air spring. Okay, so now this car is working, so I don't need it. I turn it off, and it's in lift mode. I don't need it to be in lift mode. I can go to comfort or automatic or dynamic, right? So let's try automatic. So you see, every time you select and push the button, the white is on. If you look, it's lowering the car. You keep lowering the car until this white turn into black. So it's done. All right, that is a basic MMI air suspension control. So this is the Audi A8 air suspension diagram. So you have two struts in the front, the air compressor, two level sensor for each of the strut. You have the solenoid valve block that distribute all the pressure for all four and the accumulator. You have the adaptive suspension control unit. It's under the dash. You have the front information and display. So this one is actually the MMI. In the rear, you have two struts with their own kind of like accumulators. And also, you have the level sensor in the rear also. And at the back, you have the pressure accumulator. This one is for the whole system. So let's look at the air when it flows into the system from the air pump, the compressor. So if you see, the 3A is a one-way valve. So when the pump it goes into the system. The air compressor is protected by the control unit. It will shut it down when it's overheat, so it seldomly fails. The block on the right hand side is actually the valve block. So the valve block has the air running to all four struts, and also it has the solenoid valve to let the air go into the big accumulator in the back. So when the accumulator is full, it will be blocked and the air will be controlled just by the compressor. The air accumulator always keep a certain pressure difference between air suspension and the accumulator. So when it's low, the air accumulator, the solenoid valve will open and will supply the air to the struts, so the pump doesn't have to work too hard. The valve block will supply both rear or both front, not individually. So this is air release diagram. So when you stop the car or when the pressure is too high due to the heat, solenoid compressor release valve number 5 will release. Now this valve is inside the compressor. So every time when you stop the car, turn off the car, lock the door, you will hear the hissing noise. It's releasing the air. Okay, turn off the car. Now we're gonna listen. There you go. So a lot of time when this valve, the pressure relief valve, is not working, faulty, then you will have a yellow light. So the pressure inside the system is high. So today the car has the yellow light suspension on, which means that it's overinflated. So this is the valve block. So each of the valve solenoid has color-coded tube that go to the strut and also go to the accumulator and also from the air compressor. So this is the air compressor. So the maximum static system pressure is 16 bar. That's what it's going to try to keep it at. So the accumulator also operating a pressure of 16 bar. And like I said before, there must be a minimum difference in pressure of 3 bar between the accumulator and pneumatic spring. So the pneumatic spring is actually the one that controls each of the strut. Now let's talk about the strut itself. So the strut has, instead of having the spring, it has the, or you can call air spring bag. When it needs to be, when you set, the air pressure will be inside the airbag, so it raises up the car and keep the level. The shock itself is actually electronic shock. It will stiffen depend on the setting that you set. So inside the strut, you have 2 rings that most people think that when it leaks to the top, right by the strut, or on the bottom of the sleeve. So most of the time when it leaks, it's the airbag. So the rear is practically the same, except they have additional air volume, so it doesn't move as quickly as the front. Now the level sensor is right by the strut, so they will measure the level so that it will send back to the control, and the control unit will add more air or less air into the airbag to raise up or down. So now when we see the light, the warning light of the car, so extreme low level, you will see the yellow and the green. The yellow be solid and the green be flashing. So that's when the air leaks. When you have extremely high level, the yellow light is on and the green light is not blinking. So this mostly can be caused by the electronic strut wiring was faulty, like what I did, or the air release valve inside the compressor is faulty. There's a release valve. They may have other problem, but those are the 2 common ones. So this is control unit, which we seldomly replace. So when the suspension is good, it is so nice to drive. The handling is great and extremely comfortable. Extremely smooth and comfortable when the suspension is working. So all of the options are gone except the lift.
Find the real problem is the hardest part. VCDS doesn't show anything related to the actual failure. So this is my airbag that fail each time, and they show nothing about the airbag. So it's worthless data. You can buy the whole strut rebuilt, a brand new one, or the airbag and replace itself. Simple test: push on lift mode, then jack mode, and wait to see whichever is lower.